Okay, so I am going to talk a little bit now about just AI as an assessment tool. Now, I had notes and prompts and things like that that I had written up, but unfortunately, at the end of last class, my laptop decided it didn't want to work anymore. So I'm using the laptop of someone else in my life, and I don't have my notes, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I did because I think it, kind of does have some, I don't know, has some impact, right? Now, what I did was I found a specific essay, just a Shakespeare essay at a grade 9 level online, and I generated a rubric from Gemini, right? So a rubric for a grade 9 English class about an essay on Macbeth, and then I put that essay and the rubric into various sort of feedback forms, right? And the ones that I tried to do, I put it in through Brisk, and I also put it in through Magic School. Now, I tried to put it in through Eduaid, and I ran into this problem a little bit with Brisk as well, but I wasn't able to upload it fully, a little bit with Magic School too, because it was saying, even though this Word document, it was just a Word document of a simple rubric, um, it was too big, right? It had a upload level of like 5 MB or 3 MB, and even though the Word document on my end on the files it looked under it, I wasn't able to upload it, which I think is like a little bit of a caveat there, right? More so speaking though, when I uploaded it into Magic School and Brisk, they were completely different evaluations, right? Magic School thought that the essay was fantastic. It was great. It gave it, glowing marks in reflection to the rubric, whereas Brisk, thought it was a good essay, right? But not great, right? Not to the same level. So we're thinking like, a high 90s to a mid 70s. And I even pushed them to say, okay, out of 100%, what would you give this essay, right? And Magic School, right, gave it I think it was like a 97, 98%, right? Again, I don't have my notes, but somewhere in that region. Whereas, Brisk, it didn't want to give me a result at first, right? It didn't want to give me a percentage, which I think is a good thing, right? It's pushing teachers to kind of, create their own metrics and use their own sort of rubric system. Um, but when I asked it, okay, out of these rubrics, it was a 4-point rubric, right? Out of each category, where did it fall on the point scale? It gave me an answer, right? This was 3 out of 4. This was 2 out of 4 in this section. It was 2 out of 4 in this section, 3 out of 4 in this section, and from that, it's really easy to get a percentage. Now, what I thought was interesting is that with Brisk, I inputted it a second time, same with Magic School, and got a completely different answer both times, right? So the first time, we'll talk about Brisk just for example purposes, but first time I put it through Brisk, it was something like 4 out of 4, 3 out of 4, 3 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 2 out of 4, right? And the second time it was different. It was 3 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 2 out of 4, right? And I think that really goes to show that, it's not a good tool for like AI isn't a good tool yet for evaluating students. And I really do think, right, we're in classrooms, we're encouraging people to have their own thoughts and use AI as a tool, but not the end all and be all. And out of respect, right, I think it's a good point that we owe students the respect of marking ourselves, right? Doing our own marking. Um, they put in the work, hopefully. They used AI in the way that we would like them to. And I think for that, we kind of owe it to students to not use AI to critique their work, right? That's what we're here for, to provide feedback, to provide you know, especially the assessment part of it, right? I could see, for small examples, things that are a little bit less nuanced, maybe like math or say I'm going to be teaching French, right? So maybe for French grammar, using it for feedback here and there, I think that could work. But using it as a tool for assessment, um, yeah. doesn't seem like it worked, and definitely, getting those varied responses, especially within the same program, really sort of proved that to me.